Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. And I just want to get into this article surrounding the famine that is inevitable, that is coming. You know, famine is going to play a big part in the judgment, the great judgment, the great wrath that the Lord is going to bring down on the earth, man. And famine doesn't mean that there's no food on the earth. What it means is that you cannot access the food, and that's all it is. Okay, and in these times, man, there's going to be a great famine among the peoples, man. And a lot of the people that are going to die, they're going to die through famine. And a lot of people, even that die by the sword, before they die from the sword, they're gonna feel the effects of famine, you know. And a lot of you people that's gonna take the mark of the beast, you're gonna take the mark of the beast for the reason, in the hope that the government will provide you with food. Okay, so let's get into this article. It said food crisis, the greatest threat to social stability. And they got an image here of empty shelves, which that's prophecy. In fact, that wasn't on the list, but let me get that. All right. Second is just 6th chapter. A lot of you guys out here that's scoffing, your thing to do is talk shit about Great Millstone, run your mouth. A lot of you are gonna feel what it's like to have your own body consuming itself, and you're gonna be humble in that day. Okay, cause famine, starvation is one of the most humbling experiences you can go to, man. Totally strips you of your pride. Okay. Right. Let's get straight to the point. 2nd Ezra 6 and 22 says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Right, your storehouse can represent what your local Walmart, supermarket, and suddenly, very quickly, it can be found empty. You know, when people panic buy, they take up all the food, and no more food doesn't come in by way of those trucks for whatever reason. Whether it be that the store itself doesn't have no money because the actual economic system is shut down, you know, or it's too dangerous for them foods to get to you. Whatever the case may be, ultimately it's not going to matter to you why the food isn't where you are. What's going to matter to you is the fact that the food isn't where you are. Okay, and so this image here, get used to it. Okay, and if the Lord ain't with you, man, you're about to enter some great suffering. It says, recently I was in a pharmacy and overheard the pharmacist say to someone, there's so much unpleasantness on the news these days, I've stopped watching. The pharmacist has my sympathy. I'd love to be able to ignore the deterioration of the first world. Okay, first world represents Esau's realm. It is at turns tedious, depressing, disturbing, and infuriating. Unfortunately, we are now passing through what before it's over will be the most life-altering period in our times, and they don't know how true they are. First of all, it's gonna alter life on earth, because guess what? It's a changing of worlds. Okay, this world that is here now is gonna go out in fire and blood, and the new world, okay, which is the world of Yahushai, the world of Israel, will commence thereafter. As it is written, Jacob is the end of the world, and Esau is the end of the world. Okay, that's what the scripture says. And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Alright, it says, as much as we'd like to behave like ostriches right now, we'd better keep our heads out of the sand and be as honest with ourselves as we can if we're going to lessen the impact that these events will have on us. And let me tell you this, man, there is no way to lessen the judgment of the Heavenly Father, man. It's either the Lord is with you or he's not. If the Lord ain't with you, man, you're going to feel the full force of his judgment. in accordance to what he wants to do to you. So if he wants you to starve to death, I don't care if you buy up a whole Walmart and store it in your back pocket, man. The Lord is going to fix it so you starve to death, man. Alright, as to the famine, to the famine. As to the sword, or both. Okay. It says, I cannot emphasize too strongly the importance of a possible shortage of food. History is filled with examples of cultures that would endure most anything and still behave responsibly, but nothing causes greater, more unpredictable, or more violent behavior in people than a lack of food. And that's in the scriptures. That's in the scriptures, man. That is in the scriptures. Okay, and the article is going to go into the food industry, all that's part of it, hyperinflation, you know, that's the economic collapse, so forth. I'm going to jump to this, but I'm going to show you this. That is exactly what he's saying is in the scriptures. That's in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. Okay, let's jump to 15. Alright, 2nd Ezra 15, and we're going to start from we're going to start for 16. For there shall be sedition among men, riots, so forth, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Yeah, a lot of places are going to become no man's lands because the authorities ain't going to be able to control certain areas, man. There's going to be like Mad Max. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Because that's the authorities are going to shut down certain modes, certain places, man. You're going to have the chip and authorization to travel to and fro. Alright? Or you're going to get executed on the spot. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. Because these people that live in these cities, man, they're very proud, man. They think these cities is heaven on earth. Whereas within the city is nothing but wickedness which is going on. So that evil is going to turn on their own head. And as proud as they were of their city, they're going to be disgusted by the state that their city is going to descend into, man. Cannibalism and all that filthiness. Okay? Especially cities like New York, Paris, London. Those some proud ass cities, man. Frankfurt. So the Lord's going to do something to them cities. Going to mar those cities, man. Mar the beauty of those cities. By way of destruction, death, chaos, famine. Alright? A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. Their houses shall be destroyed. Yeah, one way or another could be by marauding groups of men. It could be by missiles. Okay? Fires. The fire department ain't going to be working in that day. Alright? And men shall be afraid. Alright? A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So this is what's happened. The scriptures tell you this is what's going to happen in these days. Okay? Alright, so panic sets in. It says food panic doesn't necessarily occur if a retailer carefully assesses his increased market and rations sales so that everybody gets a slightly lesser share. In fact, I've personally seen this work well in the event of a natural disaster in my home. And that's what the authorities are going to try and do. They're going to confiscate as much of the food supply as they can, and they're going to ration it out. But guess what? You're going to have to receive the mark of the beast in order to get those rations. Okay? We're telling you in advance so that when it happens, you know that the prophets have been among you and it is the work of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. It's not our work. We're just telling you what the Lord has to say. In fact, I personally, the panic does occur when the availability suddenly becomes non-existent, even for a brief time, and shoppers are unsure when it will be resumed. In an inner city, this is exacerbated by 3 factors. Okay, shipments from suppliers become erratic and insufficient. A significant increase in the number of shoppers cleans out the stores. Suddenly shall the store places become, I read that. Individual shoppers become unreasonably demanding. This last factor in any inner city situation is almost always responsible for chaos that evolves into a riot, sedition among men. It works like this. A mother complains that there is no bread for her children to have a sandwich. Her husband becomes angry at the problem and goes down to the corner store demanding a loaf of bread. The store manager says that he cannot release the bread until the next morning. When the neighborhood knows they can each come and buy one loaf only, the man becoming angrier goes in the back and takes a loaf of bread. The manager resists and is shot. The man on his way out grabs a carton of cigarettes and a couple of 6-packs of beer for good measure. The store, now unmanaged, is looted. Those shoppers who are normally peaceful become people begin to panic and realize that it's time to grab what you can. In these situations, the food stores are generally cleaned out quickly. In a very short period of time, a full-scale riot may be in play. In most inner cities, the liquor stores are hit early on, then the appliance stores, and so on down the line. And another thing, if the electricity gets cut to a certain area and you don't have refrigeration, then that straight away, most of the food you got is only going to last, what, 2-3 days, and that's it. You can't eat it. It's rotten. Okay, but this is no ordinary riot. Unlike a riot triggered by, say, a TV news clip of some policeman beating a seemingly innocent man, the trigger is ongoing, and more importantly, it is not at its heart anger-based. It is fear-based. Yeah, the fear of dying, the fear of going without, and it is self-perpetuating. Shipments are not resumed to a store that has no one running it, and that's why they're going to have to bring in the military. Worse, additional store owners close for fear that they're next. The situation escalates very fast. Enter the cavalry, and this is exactly what's going to happen when they usher in these crises. Whatever the spark is going to be, whether it's the war, whether it's a major terrorist attack, whether it's an economic collapse, which all these things can trigger each other. Okay, what's going to have to happen is the state is then going to have to take control. Alright, and through that taking control, they're going to issue that mark of the beast. That's going to be part of their measure to control the mark of the beast, because that's what the mark of the beast is. It's control. While the US and Europe have seen many riot situations, and we can therefore study how they play out, a series of self-perpetuating riots have not taken place before. It's likely that within weeks a national emergency would be declared, and rightly so, but how to deal with it? Certainly the president and the state governors would quickly begin to work with wholesalers to ensure the food got to the city. So that's your FEMA executive orders, man. The government are going to have to take control. It's no longer going to be a private enterprise anymore. They will utilize the private infrastructure that's already there, i.e. Walmart, whatever the case may be, but it will no longer be private. It's now going to be run by the state. Needless to say, suppliers will refuse, stating that in such a situation they cannot get paid for any food that they deliver. Truckers will state that they cannot accept the danger that their drivers will be exposed to, and then therefore that's why the public sector, the state, the military, they're going to have to take control, and they're going to have to force truck drivers to drive where they want. Civilian, I mean, come on, man, listen. And this is when I bring up these FEMA executive orders, man. This is just an example. These FEMA executive orders apply anywhere, because all these different governments, they have the same measures. They just come at it with a different name. Over here, they got something called the Cobra team. Okay, it's the same thing. Cobra, FEMA, it's the same thing. It's emergency powers. Okay, now when you go into the FEMA executive orders, which go look it up for yourself, you'll read through the executive orders. This is what they want. Government 10998 allows the government to take over all food resources and farms. Now, in terms of people driving the trucks, they'll start making people, they'll chip them and make them drive the trucks. Civilian labor camps, slavery. That's just Executive Order 11000 allows the government to mobilize civilians into work brigades under government supervision. You understand? So this is where it's gonna go. Everyone's gonna end up working for the government any damn way. It's gonna be the end of the private sector, man. The state. And that's really what they want. State control, centralized control, no competition. Okay? So that chip is going to be all over the spot because they need it. Alright? Let's go back. This is a beautiful article. It says, politicians feeling the pressure from their constituencies will want to act decisively even if their decisions prove ineffectual. In such cases, those politicians who are more conservative may decide to send in truckloads of food to be handed out for free with the control of the Department of Homeland Security to keep order. Okay, yeah, the food's going to be handed out to free because what? The people ain't going to have no food, no money anyway. The money system's going to be done away with. So what you're going to have to control that is the mark of the beast. Those politicians who are more liberal will believe that the right solution is to nationalize food supply in their states and to take over the control of delivery. Like I just said, that's what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen, the nationalization of everything. Okay? As can be imagined, the results will vary from suburban situations in which the store staff are blah, 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 blah. I don't need to go. Now it says how it all shakes out. I want to move on to this. Historically, there's nothing so chaotic as famine. As long as people have a crust of bread and as long as it arrives regularly, there's a chance that events may be controlled. It's the very unpredictability of supply that causes panic, and the greater the concentration of potential recipients, the greater the panic, i.e. in these cities. Okay, small wonder that when I speak to friends and associates about the great unraveling, this one facet often makes them recoil in a desire to avoid the subject entirely. Once this particular house of cards begins to fall, which it will fall much faster than the economy in general, and the results will be unquestionably extreme. So if the politicians are unlikely to effect a workable solution, at least in the short term, how does this all play out? After all, no famine lasts forever. What historically happens during a famine is that chaos ensues for a period of time. Some people are killed in attempting to take food from the authorities who control the distribution, and that's going to happen. You're going to get groups of men, militias or whatever, who have guns or whatever, and they're gonna come up against the government to take the food. They don't want to take the chip. They don't want to be under the government. Other people are killed on their way home by others who want the food they are carrying. Others are killed in their homes when raided by those who are hungry. I just read this in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. Still others die of starvation. It is horrific to say, but after a time in such situation, famine becomes the new norm, and as illogical as it would seem, this is the turning point. Chaos eventually devolves into hopelessness and listlessness, and panic disappears. Then at some point the lines of supply are slowly restructured, generally on a more limited scale than before. Okay, so that's the point on that. Let me get 2nd Ezra, because a lot of you people out there that score for us, man, you're going to understand the true nature of inatiation and what's it called? Inanition. There's an actual word which there's a word for inanition. Yeah, inanition, man. Which a lot of you're spiritually in the state of inanition, and the Lord's going to put you in the physical state of inanition. Okay, and you're going to find out that that's a terrible situation to be in, man. Inanition. Okay, the effects, which I'm going to put a clip at the end, you can see the effects, what it happens to the body, man. Okay, a lot of you women, man, you're going to die of inanition. You're going to suffer, man. That's going to humble your ass down. You ain't going to be running your mouth when your mouth's all dry and crusty, man, and your stomach is caving in. Alright, it's a terrible way to go, but it's in the scriptures that a lot of you scoffers, a lot of you people out there, that's going to be your judgment. Some of you are going to be in that state, and you think you're going to die, but you're not going to die. You're going to get killed and eaten, or you're going to get hit by the missiles. Alright, let's get 2nd Ezra 16. And 22, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Okay, so you might escape the hunger, but the sword is going to destroy you. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. Okay, so with that, I'm going to say shalom.